Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel, StrangeNet here. So today I want to talk about the Doctor Who event that has just finished. And initially this video was going to be quite a scathing video on the Doctor Who event. Due to numerous reasons, there are certain aspects of it that I didn't particularly like. But I thought I would leave it till after the event before doing this video. And over that time, I've mellowed slightly and I've spoken to quite a few newer people to New Eden, and they quite actually enjoyed it, so it's left me with mixed feelings, but let's go into it. So as a veteran of EVE, this event wasn't really aimed at me or us, or people that have been here a good while. This was for the newer guys to, test their scanning skills and do an event that basically they could really get into. It was never going to pay great, and that is fine. I know obviously some people did make a decent amount of ISK, but I think the ISK per hour ratio was pretty horrendous at times, unless you got rather lucky. But that's by the by. The event isn't made by its ISK per hour earnings. However, the general issue that I had initially with this, and again this video was going to be a lot more scathing than this, but I think over the time I've mellowed and I've spoken to a lot of the newer guys in my channels and they've actually quite enjoyed this event. So from that, it has been a bit of a success, I guess. But the first issue I had when I first started the event is it was pretty hard to know what to do. You had to, you had to go out in a scanning ship. And again, bearing in mind, if you are new or just joining the game, you've got to set up a scanner, you've got to buy a scanning ship, you've got to set it up, you've then got to go out, you've got to scan down the sites. Scanning isn't particularly straightforward, and I'm sure there's tutorials on this, that and the other, but again, it's not the easiest, and then you have to do the data hacking minigame, which again isn't the easiest. And then you've got to come back, you've got to collect all the parts from doing numerous of these, you've got to come back, you've got to manufacture it, then you've got to make it into one of the warp thingy-bobs, and then from there you've got to set out another ship, potentially combat ship, which again is more fitting settings and things that you need to know about the game in order to be able to do the warp convergence, to go in to get more bits, to build it up to a better warp convergence matrix. So there were a lot of steps in that, and that made it relatively awkward. And again, as someone who's been here a while, initially when I first started, I scratched my head and was like, well, what do I need to do here? What am I looking for? And I've got a lot of experience. It didn't take me a huge amount of time, but it did take me a bit of head scratching. So if you were new or brand new to the game, then I imagine trying to navigate that would have been incredibly awkward and hard. And again, that's, if it's aimed at newbies, then make it aimed at newbies, make it easier or more straightforward. And if it's not, but I did like the fact that it went into a lot of little aspects of the game. It went into a bit of manufacturing, a bit of scanning, a bit of fittings and the rest of it. So it was nice that it covered a decent amount, but I would have liked to have seen a better, and especially consider it's aimed at newbies, a better tutorial for it, a more basically a help me or a read me file where you didn't have to go around checking forums or YouTube's videos in order to be able to work out how to do it. So something to think about for the future, but if it is going to be aimed at newbies, then it needs to be aimed at newbies, and there basically needs to be a walkthrough guide of how and what it is that you need to do. And this brings me on to my general second issue, and this will be interesting to see how this is received, but this is how I look at it. Now, the event was meant to be a one-off, and I can't see this happening on a yearly basis, because again we'll have events every other week if this is the case with the current events. For crossover events like this happen once a year, so watch this space. I don't imagine it will, but it could very well do. However, if it is a one-off, I would have liked to have seen more unique stuff from the event site, and I'll go into a bit more detail there of what I actually mean. So this event annoyed a good deal of people. It annoyed people that wanted CCP to concentrate on current content, to improve what we've currently got, that basically they're moving resources elsewhere in order to facilitate this event. It annoyed the people that are into lore. It annoyed veteran players that the loot was pretty awful. And again, it had the issue of, annoying a good deal of your player base. And I don't have an issue with crossover events. I'm not really into the lore, it doesn't really bother me. I'm more into the health of the game, and if it gets more people in and more people in space and more people enjoying the game, then it's generally a win in my book. But that's not obviously how everybody feels. What I would have liked to have seen, however, is something or items that were unique specifically to this event. And I'm not talking about skins and apparel. I'm talking about drones or something Doctor Who related. If this is going to be a one-off event, and I think CCP often falls down here, that more collectibles, and again it could have been numerous things. It could have been a ship, it could have been a module, it could have been a drone, or it could have just been general collectibles. And in a game where time matters, it's people like to be able to turn around and say they've got something unique and special from something that, you know, you can turn around and say in the future, in 5 years' time, if the game's still here, or 10 years' time, that, oh yeah, that Doctor Who event, I got the flying discus ship from that event because I was there, I did it, and I've held on to it ever since. And again, let the market decide on the value of these things. So initially, obviously, there'll be loads of them, so it won't have much value. But over time, this value will obviously increase as the items become more rare. And let's have a look. I'm pretty sure I've got some stuff here. All trading stuff. No. Stuff. Ah, here we go. And again, I've got other stuff like this hanging around. But again, it's things from yesteryear that you can't get anymore. Portal generation and things that people like to collect, and unique things. You know, it's I don't even know how old this is, but I think CCP often misses out here that, you know, they don't often cater to the collectors in the game, and having unique things. So say initially, once upon a time, the Gecko was a one-off drop, and you know, they started out, you know, you could buy lots of them relatively cheaply, and over time they slowly increased in value as people realised how wonderfully awesome the Gecko was, and you couldn't get any more. That was it. They got absurdly expensive, and eventually CCP put them into the Grista event, and that you can now get them every year from the Grista's event, which is great, but it devalues that uniqueness that comes from that one-off. And again, I would like to have seen something here. I would like to have seen a ship or a module, something that was. And again, I don't know whether IP related this is an issue, but something that's Doctor Who related, or something, you know, you could have called it anything. And again, from a login reward, you could have got the BPC, and so only one account. You know, so it didn't matter how often you farmed it, you wouldn't be sitting on a stack of 1,000 of these things, you know, unless you went out and bought them off the market. But you know, like a flying saucer ship, you know, make up any of the stats you want. You know, it can be good, it can be bad, but people like to collect these things. Look at the, you know, we've got numerous ships that are, I won't say useless, but people don't often fly. Again, they may fly more than I know, but the point is, it's something different. Here we go. We've got the Echelon. And again, I don't know if it's particularly good, this ship. People buy them, but again, it's just something that was unique and odd and out of the ordinary that dropped once upon a time. And again, I don't know if you can get that anymore, and I don't know whether you can get the primary anymore or all the rest of it. But the point is, something that was unique specifically, but wasn't a skin or apparel, I would like to see added to any crossover events. So we have a point of reference, or you've got a ship that's special. You've got, and again, it just helps ease that annoyance from the player base that, you know, that there was something that came out of it other than skins and apparel and the odd booster, which will be null and void soon. So we had an event that basically yielded nothing long term, and that's not to say that I don't like the skins. I like a lot of the warp skins, to be perfectly honest with you, the convergent skins. You know, I think that when it eventually comes up is a great looking skin, and I am tempted to buy one of these. And again, there's a few others that I quite like. So, you know, I like the skins, that's great, but I wanted to see something out of the ordinary, something that was specific and special and potentially a unique item to this event that I could collect. Or one unique item that is worth collecting, and then a few memorabilia bits and bobs that I could hold on to for until the game eventually dies, and then I can show people every now and then that, oh yeah, once upon a time we had the, back in 2022 we had a crossover event for Doctor Who. People go, oh wow, was it any good? I say, oh yeah, look at these wonderful things. Like spiced wine, things that people put in their cargo holds and that when they get blown up, just for bants and the rest of it. Again, it's just missing something. And that's my biggest frustration, that, they could have done so much more with this and really made it feel special instead of just another event. And that's not to say that I don't like the events that come round, but this needed to be different. This needed to be special, and I think it fell flat in that regards. Now, as I said, I wasn't the intended audience, and that's fine. I don't need to be the intended audience all the time. But I do feel that, as I say, yeah, they kind of missed a trick here to really spice this up and make this special and make people potentially look forward to more crossover events. Because let's face it, this was the testing ground, and there will be more of these if it is successful, and I can't see how it won't be successful. We've got some good packs with it and the rest of it, but what I would like to see is a little bit more uniqueness to it other than the background and the skins. That's my biggest disappointment here. And again, make it a little bit easier with a potential walkthrough or a guide, just a text document that you can pick up, telling you what it is that you need to do. Because again, you can probably find it on the news page and this, that and the other, but you're having to look elsewhere and externally instead of in-game. People don't necessarily want to do that or know how to do that. I never used to know there was news on the EVE intro menu. Mine's gone blank. Account startup menu, and I often miss things on there in the news because I don't click it every single day, and things do pop up and you don't always see it. So yeah, something in game to help people navigate the complexities of obviously a new event. And so yeah, that's generally my thoughts on the Doctor Who thing. As I said, I don't think it was a flop. I think they could have done more. I was disappointed that there wasn't more, but again, I've spoken to a good number of newish players, and they generally did like it. So from that point, it has been a success. For other people in New Eden, I think it was a disappointment. And again, in the times that we're in, I don't think we need more disappointment. And again, I would have liked to have seen something special come out of this that we could all utilise, or at least collect and hold on to. And so with that, I'd like to hear your thoughts and feelings on the Doctor Who crossover. Was it a success? Did you enjoy it? Did you make bank from it? Would you want to see more events like this, or were you horrified by this? Is this like the worst thing that's ever happened to Eve, and that never again, please? So I'll leave that with you guys. Post in the comments. And with that, thanks for your time. Thanks for listening. I'll talk to you again soon.